right, thanks for sticking around. If you're online with us, we're going to keep this conversation going for just a few minutes. John, since you're sitting next to me, I wrote down something that you said to me right after we got off the air there. I said to you, if you're spending $350 million, companies don't do that unless there's a return, even no matter how well-intentioned it may be. Tell me why. You mentioned 1 in 20.
Well, you know, we have, when people come to apply to work at AT&T, they take a basic skills test, and we'll find that only 1 out of 20 that take that test even pass it or qualified. So we continually, it's harder and harder to find qualified employees to work in our call centers as technicians, and you know, that drives the cost up of recruiting, and you know, it's only going to get worse and harder to find that. So you know, there's a practical value to us by encouraging and you know, education, helping the kids stay in school to get their high school degree, and possibly even move on you know, to further education.
I want to go back to our educators that were at the beginning of the show, because you've had time to kind of take in what we've been talking about. What did you not get to say? And what I even starred a couple of things that I forgot to ask you. But so tell me what's on your mind, Dr. Bender, Dr. Knost.
The message stays the same through the whole conversation. The importance of relationships. You cannot separate success from relationships. It's not going to happen, and it's paramount. We can talk all day long about what they need to do academically, and that's important stuff. Don't get me wrong, but if you don't have significant relationships, it's not going to work. It simply is not going to work. And any educator, anybody that's been in schools for any period of time in their life, can think of many kids where that proves both ways. The successful kids, those that fall in love with life, or those that are sure to succeed. And those who don't, they're not connected. Again, I mentioned earlier that when we had these horrific tragedies, it's always the case. The kids, they weren't connected to school. They had not even one champion, that they could connect to, and we've got to put that on the front burner more than anything. It's more important than competing with other countries, in my mind, because we'll never compete with other countries if we don't take care of that relationship piece.
Run your own race kind of thing first, I guess.
I like that. Yes.
Can I add
The coach
something
taught me that.
here? Can I add something here? Because I want to respond to what you said about having an educated, trained, skilled workforce, which we don't have for our country. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but it really goes back to the very beginning, those first years. Because the brain's developed by the time the child is 3. And so if you really haven't done vocabulary and reading and things by then, they're not going to come to school ready to learn. And they're never going to catch up, because in 6 hours a day, 9 months a year, there's no way they can catch up. And then we have something called summer learning loss, which we haven't even discussed, because they lose in the summer if they don't have anything educational going on, and it takes months to get back where they were in May. They were already behind. So to stay on or above grade level, graduate from high school, and then go on to college or some other post-secondary education, you need all that in the beginning. And we do need post-secondary, not everyone for college, because we need police and fire and electricians and PhDs and doctors and lawyers and teachers and nurses and all that. So we have to go all the way through, but if we don't have that foundation, we can't do it.
Yeah, we've learned on the show before, and I think this is something that people read on the internet now all the time in different stories, that they base prison capacity on third grade, is it reading levels or third grade testing
People
score?
who build cells look at the number of children who can't read by the end of 3rd grade, but if you read Pedro Noguera, who's an incredible authority on this, he'll say the first day of school, and he uses this phrase, the game is over for these children. If they don't come to school ready to learn, they don't know their shapes, they don't know their colors, they can't write their name, the game is over, is what he says. You don't wait till 3rd grade. And you educators would agree with that, right? 3rd grade is too late.
Is there anything positive happening, or is this a really doom and gloom scenario?
I think one of the really great things, when you take relationships to a bigger level, we talk about our relationships with the students, but it really is about the relationships in this room. As a principal, I've really had to learn, education can be very isolationist. I go in my classroom door and I shut the door. We have really had to learn, and American education has evolved. We've moved more into professional learning communities. We've had to learn as principals that, no, I am going to return a call. I am going to have these outside programs come in. I'm going to have to utilize these outside partners. The work has gotten harder, but we've gotten smarter, and we've realized that we need to reach out to the community more and take that help. So I think there is a real really positive relationship in that respect going on. And it's one of those things that needs to continue to grow, and it will help us with the relationship with students.
Ed, what are you seeing?
We know something that really wasn't addressed, I don't believe, tonight was this idea, and I think Karen brought it up, is someone said GEDs for that student that just needs to go that route to sort of go into a career, and homeschooling. There was actually a live audience member, kind of tweeted that, said, what about, where does that fit for that student that needs that kind of education process? So,
Kids that are homeschooled usually have a champion. So,
Say that
that's
again, because I think the mic might have not made it to you.
kids who are homeschooled usually have a champion. The champion right there at home that's taking care of them, so that equates to success. And I don't think it's all doom and gloom. It's working in a lot of places. The connection, we often, for whatever reason, we don't want to talk about socioeconomics when we talk about success in or lack thereof in education. And you can find the connection right there. In our schools that are heavy inside of poverty, there are going to be fewer champions, in some cases no champions for those children. So it goes hand in hand. When you have a flourishing economy in a community, or a flourishing community, you're probably going to have a successful school. And when you don't, when crime's involved and other things, there are fewer champions. Poverty. Or what do? Their champions are the wrong people. And as Karen talks about that early intervention piece, they learn that at a very, very young age. So I don't think it's doom and gloom. I think it's just that we have to, when we look at schools that aren't working, we've got to take a different approach. The academics are so important, but we have to put what's important in front, build those relationships, find what's working. I thought the coolest thing in the world was the first day of school for the Normandy School District this year, to see those parents aligned on the sidewalks cheering as the kids came in. That needs to be built upon. I would love for the cameras to get inside of those school districts and find those things that their community can find pride in. That's what they want. That's why 75% of them are still there. A lot of those parents went to school there. They want their kids to go to school in their community schools. We've got to build those
I
relationships.
have to compliment you on your video. Yours was the first one as a school system that you made of the 3 receiving school systems. And your video brought tears to my eyes and everyone's eyes who I sent it to. It was incredible, so welcoming for those students.
Brought tears to my eyes.
So, and cut me off if there's something I'm missing that is more important, because we only have a couple of minutes left. But I'm just curious, so do we need a more systematic way of valuing these relationships? I mean, does there need to be a multiple choice way of, do we need to codify relationships somehow? All right.
So Casey, I think something that's really exciting, and the guest that you brought in, was he in DC?
Yes.
Mentioned, when he was here in St. Louis, he felt an energy. He felt something different happening in this community, and that in fact is going on. I think what we are starting to hear, and I think much of it has been brought to light by the school transfer issue, but you're starting to hear leadership, you're starting to hear schools, you're starting to hear funders, you're starting to hear nonprofits, corporations say, there's got to be a better way that we do things for kids in our community. It's going to mean way thinking outside the box. It's going to be way bringing down all of our silos. It's going to be educators and nonprofits and corporations working with one another in ways that we may never have imagined. But if we don't do something differently collectively, if we just keep doing the same old thing, we're going to get what we've always gotten. And there's a real palpable energy in this community, I think, that's on the verge of really starting this change. But it's going to take patience. It's going to take time. It's going to take commitment. But I feel like we are there. It feels different in this community than it has before to me.
Well, on that note, I think I'll challenge us all to both share Dr. Knos's video with everyone we know, and then maybe we'll get this dialed in. We can share this, because I'm encouraged by sitting here talking to you guys. But and again, we're going to give folks another way that they can get involved. The 9 is partnered with more than 50 local partners working together to end the dropout crisis. That's no small thing. So go to 9net.org/American Graduate. We need your help. thank you all very much for your time, and as I said earlier, for your passion and for your dedication. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay tuned.